Hello, everyone. Hi, and welcome back to Question Bound. Sorry we started a little late, just a few little technical difficulties and time zone kerfuffles, but we are here now. And let's go ahead and get started. You can go ahead and start leaving your questions in the chat for us. We will be happy to answer them. We've got returning guests Rhi and Kai here to answer all of the pressing questions. I heard that last time was a bit crazy.
Huh.
A bit wild.
Just a little bit.
Just a tad. Just a wee tad.
Just a little-
My image is pretty pixelated today, guys, because I've been kicked out of my regular room and the Wi-Fi here sucks, so I am sorry about that. But
That's okay. You
Shazam.
still look beautiful.
That's
Thank
fine.
you.
We can see all of your glory in now pixel form, I think, which is
Yes.
kind of magical.
Pixel art is just as valid as HD art.
You know what it is? It's just like a new form of smoothing out my blemishes. That's all it was.
Exactly. Little movie magic.
Little movie magic. That's all it is. Okay.
Blush when you got this. Okay. Oh, thank you for gifting us so.
Amazing.
Hell yeah! Thank you. Also, congratulations on the job offer, Star Killer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Way to
congrats.
go.
Amazing.
All right. Got one of our questions coming in from, I wonder who this is. Mythical Rose.
Oh.
Val like
Good
his
name.
handheld?
Oh gosh.
Would Val like his handheld, do you think?
So much. And the fact that he almost had it with Cadaver, but he got in his own
it's
way.
such a shame that he's such a little shit. That,
He did get it with Coraline.
Val
he
just
reached
keeps
out for
cucking
him.
himself with his own
Listen.
emotional...
Next session, if I get the chance, Val's gonna want to try and say sorry to Cadaver by healing his hands because he's like, "Hey, that was stressful, and I also cast Hellish Rebuke at you, which didn't exactly help that much. Do you need some healing?"
I long about that. That was an interesting series of events right there.
We panicked. I was
spiraled.
rewatching that bit today, and just Blue and I panicking and just being like, what do we do? Everybody's just.
I genuinely was literally just watching and I was like, oh my god. And
Were
then
you
when
coming in and being like, Mage Hand? And I was like,
Excuse me.
duh. Duh. Me being like, Hellish Rebuke.
I genuinely, I was like, okay, you're fine, because you've been using Major Hand way more often. So I was like, it's all good, everything's fine, Kai will think of it, and you were like, hit me, and I was like, no!
Hit me. Just take me out.
I mean,
How?
funny and stressful, but yeah!
Yeah, listen. I
Wasn't
felt like it was very in character for everybody.
You were just playing to the stats. You were just playing to the stats.
Exactly.
I love this because we have this thing where basically it's always been when it comes to this kind of combat thing, because I know the mechanics, Gwen is just good at thinking of these things. So when Gwen's not there, even though she's dumb as fuck, they're like, I don't know what to do in a situation of stress.
Listen, our DM was so gracious that session because we should not have been able to get that egg. That whole thing, I was like, this is just... I made a meme earlier, and it was like, who would win a room full of incredibly powerful and rich magicians? 3 idiots who have no idea what they're doing. Because we just stumbled in.
Right back out.
And we're like, ooh, magic artifacts. Oh, shit. We're gonna die. Oh, shit. Look, we accidentally broke the glass case with the egg in it. Grab it and run. But it's
Meanwhile,
fine.
we're upstairs with the money to buy the egg, very legally.
Okay, yeah, but
in
now we
this
have...
illegal auction.
First of all, we don't know if that would have been enough money to get the egg. Second of all, now we would have had to wait to get the egg. And third of all, now we have all that platinum and the egg.
Yeah, true that. And we've got a dragon chasing us. Oh, yeah.
Well, that was going to happen regardless, so...
Next question. Next question is from Animal Girl. Yes, Animal Girl 124. What advice would you give to beginner D&D players?
Reed, you want to take this away since you have much more experience than I myself am a beginner D&D player.
Okay, so first up, don't like limit yourself before you go in. You want to create a character that you're going to have fun with. You want to come up with fun ideas for something that you're going to find fun playing. I would always suggest don't go evil for your first character, because it's always a struggle to play an evil character in a party situation, because the whole point of a party situation is you want to be working together to achieve a common goal, right? With evil characters, their alignment means that they have to have a reason to be keeping those people around. They could be working with the DM. Like, it, there comes with evil characters, there does come a lot of weight. So I would always suggest, like, for a first character, either good alignment or neutral. Go chaotic if you really don't want to listen to any of the rules and you just want to go crazy, because that's always fun. But don't limit yourself with your alignments either. Like, don't think that needs to be a limit in your character, and your character can always adjust their alignments at any given point. And also, I would suggest not going for heavy classes like Artificer, where it's like a lot of mechanics. Go for stuff like bards are fun, paladins and clerics super fun, rangers are fun, wizards are fun and such. But when you go for things that are like Artificer and that sort of thing, it's going to be like heavy mechanic based. So you're going to be like looking at everything like that. So yeah, like I would suggest basically have fun with it. But if you're new to it, don't give yourself a whole lot to learn in a short amount of time, because then it becomes stressful.
Boom. Knowledge. I hope you feel
Knowledge.
learned. Kai, do you have any knowledge you would like to give to beginner players?
Just as like a beginner player myself, I would say, especially like your first game too, it would definitely help knowing the other players and like having a good like, because one, you're going to be jumping into a situation that you're like not familiar with. It helps if other people like in the party know D&D better, so they can help you along. But just knowing them and at least being like friendly with them will help a lot in making you more comfortable as far as like playing goes. And like Rhi said, just like, you know, don't do anything super complicated to start off. You can always like grow and advance and evolve with your character. But yeah, just I think I definitely have tried to play D&D before, like once or twice, and it didn't like take off that well. And I was like, this is weird, because this feels like something that I'd be like really into. And it was just like not the right timing, not the right party, that kind of thing. So definitely like don't feel discouraged if you try it out and you think you'll really enjoy it, but the session isn't what you thought it would be or anything like that. You might just need to change DMs, might need to change parties, different setting, different character, things like that. Again, it's like, it's meant to be fun. So if you're having to push things or you're having to like, you know, force things along and it's not fun, then like try to shake things up a little bit if you can. Because it's all about having fun. And I got very, very lucky in Somewhere Bound, because I just mesh, like we all mesh so well together and get along so well, and playing with them is like honestly one of the greatest experiences with just like creatively and like as friends and everything. It's really, really great.
I straight up don't think I'd survive lockdown without Somewhere Bound. Yeah,
no. Not at all. It's like this is like the highlight of like the end of the work week, and like the highlight of just like having something to look forward to, not only getting to like hang out and like engage creatively with my friends, but also just like being able to tell stories and being able to like, you know, develop and explore these characters in such a fun way. And it's one of those things too where it's like tags and stuff like that on like TikTok and stuff, like they tend to die out, or you don't get resolved storylines, or like, you know, you move on to something else, which is great and fun, but like this is something that it's like a commitment. Like we're in it for the long haul. We're gonna see these characters through the end, and it's really exciting.
There you go. Wisdom from the mighty wisdom teeth.
I still have all my wisdom teeth for now.
I don't.
Same.
That's why you don't have the brain cell. They stole your wisdom from you.
Argue, I don't have a brain cell ever either. I just happen to have teeth because dentists are expensive.
Mood.
But,
I don't know that feeling.
Yeah, you don't. Next question. Stop, not the next question from Mythical Rose once again. How do you guys think what happened will affect the relationships within the party? That question was for this.
Not me almost crying every day since the session, and also actually crying because I've been thinking about it a lot.
We may have done some chatting.
Yeah. I don't want to like give away any spoilers, but like obviously some things happened last session that no one else in the party knows. Like nobody right now is aware, but like people in chat could know, and like people in the party know that like Victor's obviously somehow connected to Val. And, like, that's gonna probably be coming up next session, because, Gwen doesn't keep secrets, and she's just, hey! Here's the thing.
Gwen has no tact.
Not at all. But, like, that's for next session, so that, I would say that's, like, something that's impending. I would say it's stuff that actually happened between characters in this past session. Val, like, almost losing, like thinking he was gonna lose Cadaver down in the storage room, and especially with like how they had interacted the entire rest of the session, and how things were rocky, and like they were like not connecting like they have before, and like things were just weird. I would say that was a big wake-up call for Val, and is going to shift in how he interacts with Cadaver from now on, and he's definitely going to be more like, oh, I don't have time to, like, figure things out. Like, I need to start making an effort now because I might not have time. Like, he almost died. Things could be different. Same thing with Coraline, he had been an absolute dick to her last session. Like, just not nice at all. And her, like, stopping to save him and, like, putting herself in danger to, like, make sure he made it. That's going to be another huge, just, theoretical slap to the face after her literal punch to his face. Where he's like, oh, wow, I maybe shouldn't, maybe they do actually care about me. Wow, go figure. So, who'd have thunk it? Yeah, so with Coraline specifically, it'll be like, wow, I've been awful to her, and she still, like, saved me. So she does actually care about me. And with Cadaver, it was more of I realized in that moment where I thought I was going to lose him that I do actually, like, care for him as well. So it's like, he's like, oh no, I've caught feelings for these party members. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh no. Boy. He didn't really interact much with Gwen and Saint this session. So I would say, as far as things with them go, it'll be just more of, like, things that they reveal and him, like, reacting to that. So it'll be interesting for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Gwen is not happy, so she's not going to go into this next session happy at all. She has always felt like quite like a bit like a glue for a lot of the party members when tensions were high, because she was very placid and neutral, and the one who's like, hey, I'm not emotionally stunted, so I can help here. So, when everyone ignored her when she was basically trying to stop them from just giving away this massive magical item to a monster who could have killed thousands, and they were like, nah man, ignore this this person that we've used as an emotional trampoline, and now we're just gonna vibe with that. So she's feeling hurt, and
just the consequences of their actions, and it's just like,
imagine that.
Wow.
In the car, just like, wow, you see that? Wonder why that happened.
It's unfortunately we didn't stream the killing of the king in the kingdom of, was it Selene? It was Selene, wasn't it? Though, yeah.
Selenius, yeah.
Selenius. Thank you, God. Holder's voice ringing in my ear. in the Kingdom of Selenius, Gwen. Was there someone else who wasn't really up for the killing of the king? Or was everyone else down for it? Val didn't want to do it, yeah. And the king...
Not because of killing, more of just like, this is a dumb idea. Like,
it was a dumb idea. Well, Gwen didn't want to do it because she was like, hey, we're going to leave a kingdom in a war in that sense. Like, we're going to start a war in this kingdom because we're taking away the only heir, and people are going to die of famine and poverty.
People die all the time. Famine happens.
So she's very stressed because it feels like that's just repeated again.
Especially since the dragon egg is connected, because we're trying to get it back to the princess of Selenius.
So she can fix the consequences of our actions.
So, you know. Also, I forgot to mention, like, Agatha's betrayal, that's gonna hit Val really hard. Not necessarily because he was particularly close to Agatha. Like, they did have some bonding moments, but, like, just the act of somebody who was, like, connected to the party betraying him and being deceitful and lying and, like, not being who they said they were, that is going to dredge up some real heavy stuff for him.
I'm really excited to see what that does to Saint, because Saint was the closest with Agatha.
Yeah.
Gwen wasn't close with Agatha. She liked Jack. And me and Hulda had a bit of a chat a couple months back where I was basically like, Gwen just feels a bit off with Agatha. I don't know what it is.
Yep.
I don't know what it is. Just
but Saint was really close. Those were her kids.
Saint, I'm really excited to see what this does to Saint.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot.
It's gonna be a lot. I wonder if she's gonna be like more edgy, or if this is gonna like cripple her.
Yeah,
that's where I'm wondering like which direction it's gonna go in. So that's gonna be exciting.
I might have to.
It's gonna be heavy.
I might have to make some rules for Val just because he could react like you said, like either like edgier or like completely broken in like certain circumstances. I'm like, I might have to make some rules because depending on how the RP goes, I might not know. Like, it could go either way. So it's like, usually I like to like see where the flow of things are going and being like, okay, I rely on like environmental things and like the other party members and like stuff that they say and things like that. But yeah, there's several instances where I'm like, who knows? Might have to make a rule for this. Don't know. It's gonna be intense.
I definitely enjoy Gwen's character because Gwen cares about things in a way that a lot of the other party members don't, and it's kind of like atypical of D&D to be a certain level of detached from things, where maybe you as a IRL person would either have more or less emotion, but it's a game, so it's sometimes the chaos wins, and some characters are just lack of care, which is fine, but it's also like the detachment. But Gwen feels very much like the things that don't matter or aren't as impactful to some of the characters are the kind of things that like Gwen's like, wait, no.
And
what?
She's very...
I know we've never met these NPCs, but they're dead, and that matters, and it being aware of the world beyond just yourself.
She feels a lot of responsibility for a lot of things.
Her fault in a way. Even
and she's also very, like, she's very good, but like in this past instance, she was fully prepared to let Jack die to save the egg and save, like, it was 100% the life of one person isn't worth the life of the hundreds, which is crazy to me because, like, yes, that's completely logical, but like the other party members who are much more like chaotic neutral and all this stuff were like, we can't let Jack die. Like, who cares about everybody else? This is somebody we know. And Gwen was like, no. I mean,
I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest, and this might sound horrible. Gwen would have sacrificed any member of our party. She wouldn't have given up the egg for anyone.
Well, I'm glad it didn't come down to that, because that would have.
I guess also mentioning it's really interesting how Gwen's feelings lie, because Gwen is very much in tune to the world around, and the rest of the party is very much do or die for each other. And the world be damned. But Gwen is very much do or die. I'm gonna try and save everyone, or I'm gonna save as many people as I can. And if someone happens to go, I would rather do that than thousands of people be gone, even if I'm not friends with them, if I don't know them. What about their families, stuff like that? So it's interesting and dynamic, and I think it's really great that Gwen kind of makes that does the opposite.
Yeah, we definitely need Gwen.
Yeah,
because even if we don't listen to her, it's like she is the voice of reason a lot of the time.
Okay, let's go on to the next question, because about on this one.
We spent so long on it.
Gosh darn it, Mythical Rose. How dare you ask these questions?
How
All right.
dare you?
Ones.
How dare. All right, next question from Starkiller. How are both you as a player and your characters feeling about the end of the session, spoiler free? So some general feelings as you as a player and your characters.
I loved it.
Mhm.
I was very emotional because I was in Gwen's character, and so I did cry near the end there. I had to like decompress a lot, so I, instead of like actually staying around to chat, like this was the first time where I was like, I gotta go. I gotta get out. And it was a lot of things to like process as I was like fully understanding like where Gwen stood in that sense and coming to the realization that she would have done anything to keep that egg from going to the wrong hands, and then how she feels about running away and like the kingdom burning in the distance behind them and such. Like it's a lot. But I loved it. It was so good. It was so good. It was so good. How everyone was responding to it, like that pure panic, that emotion there, the way Hulda managed it and made sure that everyone was like in a good mental place to handle it. I felt very cared for, I felt very protected, I felt very safe, and I felt very betrayed and happy and excited. It was good.
Yeah.
Okay.
There were just like a lot of emotions. Like there was a lot. Like afterwards we kept just going, that was a lot, because it was hard to explain. It was just so many things at once, and it was like good and like heavy and like just, it was like I was like riding on a high afterwards. I was like, this is like thrilling. I was like, that was so good. Like from a storyteller aspect, I was just thriving. I was like, that plot twist, the like intrigue, the like things she threw in even at the beginning of the session. Like it just kept me on the edge of my seat. I swear, from like pretty much from the start until the end of the session, my heart was racing so hard. And like several points I was like, I have to remind myself to breathe, because I'm like holding my breath at this moment. Like just even the beginning with like Val meeting somebody from his past who knew him as like Brimstone, and the party being like, hey, like what's going on here, and like Cadaver and Coraline's whole thing with that. And it was just very, very tense. I was like, I don't know what's going to come up. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how this interaction is going to go. And then like just like stuff, like things after thing after thing happened. And it was very, very intense. And yeah, it didn't really hit me until like later on, as like Rhi said with Gwen. It's like you start like thinking about all the things that happened and like how they influenced your character and how they're going to affect your character and how it's going to like, you know, still be affecting them in the next session. And then thinking about like, oh, like we're gonna have to like play the character now who's just gone through this massive traumatic experience. And it's really, really exciting. Like I honestly cannot wait. I'm super, super excited, but also like I know after next session I'm going to legit need some like serious decompression and like self-care from my other party members. Be like, I need you guys to like comfort me, because it's gonna be a lot. But it's gonna be, but like as a storyteller again, and as like an actor, and like not an actor, but like you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, as an actor, you're a performer in this.
Okay.
Okay.
But like you know, in that aspect, it's very exciting. Because like challenging yourself and pushing yourself is very thrilling. But again, it's like I know that my DM and like my party and everything like that are going to make sure that it is a safe way and it's going to be okay. So that's why I'm like very excited to get into it, because I know that like I'll be okay coming out the other side because they'll take care of me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next question from Chaotic Thembo. What would your OC's dream vacation be?
Hulda just laughed. There was just an evil snicker, and I was like, yeah, we're never getting a vacation. We just want our beach episode.
Before you became
Yeah, we got the
a
spa.
vacation before becoming adventure to fight.
Yeah. So for Val, it would probably be going somewhere that he's never been before, like getting to see a new culture or a new environment. getting to like experience new things, because he's all about like, you know, seeing new things, learning new things, getting new stories, like experiencing different cultures, all that kind of thing. So he'd love to travel somewhere that he's never been before. And like he's that kind of person who like doesn't do like the touristy things, but does like the talks to the locals and finds out like the best places to go and like really get into like the place, you know. And yeah, he'd want to go. He'd want to go with people he cared about, you know, and be able to experience it with them, but also be able to have time to himself, just kind of like breathe everything in.
It's hard with Gwen because I feel like she'd want to do something active, but her traveling already is like her perfect idea of being active and exploring the world. I guess it's not even like relaxing because she found the spa stressful because she didn't understand it, so she wasn't even relaxed in the spa. I think she does enjoy learning things. Like she does enjoy picking things up and learning about things, and she's curious. So going to places that hold a depth of history and like a more communal sense of I guess society, like a social community in that sense. That's what she's more interested in. So I think like going like to some small village somewhere and just being like there and just relaxing there, like learning things about the local area or something, or maybe doing an apprenticeship. She'd probably find that as like a fun vacation, I guess. She's not really like a lay down and do nothing kind of gal.
Yeah, no.
Valid. Time to learn a new language. Time to get a new skill. I haven't tried
Time to learn how to read.
In a while. Let me go again, like from my childhood. Let me go snowboarding.
Snowboarding's fun. I enjoy snow. So, yeah, Gwen could probably snow, like if it was invented.
If it was invented, yeah, she'll invent snowboarding.
She'll invent it.
That's her vacation.
Hold up. I need a snowboarding session.
I need you to make them stats.
Yes, the shield. I was just about to say, like, lost on the shield. It'd be just like Gwen throwing down her shield and being like, "Woo!"
Yo.
How high is Gwen's dexterity?
It's quite high.
If you can sand surf, you can.
I mean, something to keep in mind. We might be traveling further north, so like.
No. But going on to the next question. Oh, I lost it. Oh, it's back. Sunflower Ann asks, question: how do you guys get inspiration for OCs? I'm having a bit of trouble with my OC at the moment.
Kai, you wanna go?
Sure. So as far as like creating an OC, it could be just like a bunch of different things. I'll normally start with like the basics, like just the very, very basics. Like I usually don't have a name to start out with because I'm picky with names and it takes forever, and then I finally just settle on one and I'm like, that's good enough. Like with Val, it was like 100% I was just like clicking through the name generator and I was like, no. And I came across Valacast and I was like, let's go with that. And again, he was supposed to be a one shot. So I was like, I have Valacast, yeah, that's good. And then it's like, oh, and I've since discovered that Val is apparently like a super popular name for D&D OCs. Because I know multiple people who have a D&D OC, most of the time a tiefling as well, named Val, and I was like, It's like when I found out that a bunch of people choose Kai as their name, and I was like, I thought it was just a cool, unique name, and now it's like everybody's like, oh, this is like a super popular name, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But anyway, so I just start out with like basic things like what race they are, what class they are. As far as D&D OCs go, I don't know if this was like OCs in general or D&D OCs. But yeah, just in general, like their physical appearance, their age, like, you know, what they look like. That, I guess that's physical appearance.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah, I'm doing great. And then from there, I'll start like looking at inspirational photos. I'll be like fantasy things, or like, you know, just kind of scrolling through different areas. I'll listen to some music. I'll like think about their character more, try to start coming up with a backstory, all that kind of stuff. And then once I have like a kind of like a solid foundation for them, I usually just kind of let them do the rest of the work. Like as I play them, as I write them, as whatever happens, they develop as they go along. So it can be, you know, don't try and force every detail of the character out before you have a chance to explore who they are, really. Because they'll surprise you. You'll think you know them, and then they'll do or say something, and you're like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Note that down.
I think for me, I should go with the physical appearance first. Because I cosplay a lot of them, I go, what do I want to look like? Once I've done kind of the vibe of what I want to look like, okay, I think to myself, okay, what are they going to be called? If it's a female OC, guarantee I'm going to name them after an old woman. Bonnie, an old woman. Gwendolyn, my grandma. I have another OC, my LARP OC, Margaret. I've got Agatha. I've got Morgana, or Morgan, as she's going by. You know, I just really like old lady names. For men, I don't actually have that many male characters. I think I just have Pedro, which is named after Pedro Pascal, and purely just because it was Stevie's campaign, and I wanted to fluster Stevie by using Pedro Pascal audio, so I named him Pedro. The last names where I put in effort, like Gwendolyn Siofan is her mother's name. She has a paternal name, but she only uses that when she's like at home. But like, yeah, no, I think the thing that I go for first and foremost is physical identity. Once I've looked at them physically, I can then be like, okay, if I looked at this person, and I think quite shallowly, I think, what would I feel about them? Like, how would I look at this character, and how would I think they'd act?
Well, that can help with that as far as like world building goes, with like how other people would react to them, and then it helps shape their personality and how they would react to being reacted to in a specific way.
Yeah, like Gwen was a pure random roll, so I had no idea what Gwen was going to be like, really. And then I took all of her stats from that random roll. I went, okay, so soft bean who's good with animals, I guess. And so then I designed her as like a cute, like basic human character. I was like, yeah, she's cute and sweet. We'll go with that. Whereas like Bonnie, for example, when I put everything on, I realized that she looked like that character from Fran or something, the one who's like darling all the time. That one, because like a bunch of people commented and were like, "Oh, you look like her," and I was like, "Oh no!
Oh, wait a minute,
blueprint! It's the blueprint." But I genuinely looked at her and thought, oh, right, she looks like she would be just an attitude-y cow. And that was the design I came up from her originally, because I drew her out and then spoke with Hulda for ages. And I was like, yeah, no, she's definitely blunt. And then as I played her, she became more blunt. I'm very much as you go, I learn about the characters and then I add to it. Like, Bonnie didn't have a backstory really in the first session. Gwen didn't have a backstory until like the 5th session.
Yeah, Val didn't either.
I very much develop it as I go, because I very much am an improver with that. I know a lot of people like to use playlists though and Pinterest in order to build up their characters. So just do whatever you feel helps inspire you. If it is inspiring to base it off another pre-existing character and mix them with another character you like, go for that. If you find that certain aesthetics are what push you to make a certain character, go for that. Just find what you find creatively inspiring, and you should be able to hit the nail on the head.
All right. Next question is from Chaotic Bimbo. He asks, what's the best way to make your OC cry?
Anything.
All right. Kai? You had to give one like general scenario, not like a specific thing, but one that would always.
If we're talking about Val specifically,
why do I think like if he gets angry? Like, why do I feel like he's like if he gets really angry, he cries?
Hey, you might get to find out next session. Yeah, no, Val's very much like motivated by his emotions, but he also has spent basically his entire life trying to mask and suppress his emotions, just because he's never really had a way to like deal with them, and he feels things very, very like aggressively. And so being confronted with his actual feelings and like having to deal with them is like a very easy way to make him cry, because it's like, oh, I don't actually know how to do this. This is a lot. But yeah, getting angry, if he gets good and truly angry, he would probably cry. The fastest way, though, would be somebody showing him tenderness and physical affection. If somebody hugged him, burst into tears instantaneously. No hesitation. Full body sobs. So...
Oh, I wish I'd known that before Gwen got mad at him.
Oh yeah. Nobody's gonna give him a hug now.
Oh, I'm sorry. See, Gwen, I have to say anything for Gwen because I'm playing her and I cry over anything. So Gwen has to cry over anything. Because I feel very connected to Gwen. We've already established self-insert OCs. Whoops.
Oops.
It's Gwen is very emotional, very much wears her heart on her sleeve.
She's very honest with her emotions, and she's very open.
She is, which isn't great sometimes, because sometimes her emotions aren't based on anything other than her emotions, and she doesn't consider other things. Like, the thing is, like, Gwen's not perfect, and she can very much put her foot in her mouth, and she can very much make other people feel put upon. So yeah.
But I feel like in general, the way that she's like unapologetically herself is a strength. Like, it does trip her up sometimes, but it definitely is like an advantage for her to be herself.
Yeah, she struggled in the auction. I had to do everything I could to make sure I didn't have to roll a deception. So just because I was rolling so poorly.
It was so good that Victor was there to help distract you and, you know, put you at ease.
Yeah, he was so nice. Why did Val look so much like him? I guess we'll find out.
I don't know. Weird. No coincidences. Val looks pretty basic as a human, you know, just brown hair, brown eyes, like, or black hair, I guess. Brown eyes, like, oh, you know.
Yeah, he's not like my buff boy.
You know what?
My buff handsome boy. All right, we best move along, or I'm gonna hyperfixate.
All right, next question from vintage archaeologist Gabby. Was it hard to learn how to play D&D?
Yes.
There you go.
I feel like since our world is very homebrewed and stuff, and like Hulda lets us get away with a lot and just kind of like explore creatively and stuff, I feel like if I tried to play like a hardcore D&D session, I would be incredibly out of my depth and be like, I don't know what I'm doing, because I'm still like what am I rolling? Where am I? What stat am I looking at? What's going on? So I think it's just a matter of like, the more you do it, the more used to it you get, and like as you go along, you get used to like how the mechanics work, how like, you know, you can use your spells, all that kind of stuff. What your spells actually do. You don't have to go through and reread all of your spells in a combat setting because you're like, what do I do in this situation?
You know what? I struggled to understand the mechanics. So I played with some very strict DMs in my past. Hulda is actually definitely one of the best DMs I've had. I've had two very good DMs, my friend Ray and Hulda, mostly because they've been so guiding and such. But I think one of the things that actually really helped me understand playing D&D was watching streamers. So watching Dimension 20, watching Critical Role. Dimension 20 more so than Critical Role, just because I find it's easier to concentrate because it's a bit more fast-paced. So I watched a lot of Fantasy High and then Unsleeping City, and I went, oh, this is so useful. I'm understanding so much because they explain everything as they're going along. And they're unsure of things as well. And that really helped because the more I watched it, the more I began to understand it, because you can binge a bunch of D&D in a day, but you can't play a bunch of D&D in a day. You know what I mean? Like, there's no stress to learning if you're watching it as you go. So that's what I would suggest. If you're struggling, watch some streams. That will help you so much.
Yep. And there's a lot of videos on YouTube about particular concepts. So if you're like, I don't understand stats, like, what do those mean? There's
Ginny D's really good. Hulda always talks about Ginny D. Sorry for interrupting her, but Ginny D is also really good because she talks about a lot of that sort of stuff.
And next question from A. Sam. A. Sam. Will Val open up to anyone anytime soon?
It depends
Right words.
on what happens in what order next session. Gwen is if you know, if things come up very early on, like either way a lot is going to be revealed about Val next session. Whether or not that's voluntary or him, like, you know, offering up that information without being, you know, prompted or like pried into, that's another thing. I do want to have some moments, like I mentioned with like Cadaver and Coraline. Like I want everything to happen organically and like the flow to happen and RP and everything to happen naturally. But if he does get the opportunity to talk to either of them, there will definitely be more honesty from him offered up freely. But I don't think it would be very open for him. It would be very like honest for him, which is a difficult thing for him to do. But as far as like opening up and like talking about things, well, you'll just have to tune in and see.
You have to come and find out. Next question from Chloride Chrome. What is your favorite edition of D&D?
Absolutely 5e.
5e.
I think it's just been perfected to a point where it's good for people who've been playing for a long time and for newcomers. It's got a lot of exciting stuff. It's not stagnant. It's
now.
What's that? Sorry.
It hurt to play the old ones now, I think.
It absolutely does. Blue has done a whole I've only done like one shots, and Blue's done like a whole campaign, and I think the main takeaway from what Blue was talking about with the older versions is that death and pain.
Yeah. I
pretty
played
much.
Pathfinder for a while. It was
Pathfinder's nice.
And then I got to 5e and I was like, huh, so
Yes,
this has been here the whole time?
The whole time.
I played
That's the thing, yeah.
4th edition, get that out of here.
Get out. Pathfinder's nice. It's like it's quaint, but I feel like, again, like it can like cap you off a bit too much. Like you can't, you know, just branch out as easily with Pathfinder. But 5e has been, I've really enjoyed 5e a lot.
I think it's also because D&D was really popular a very long time ago to a very specific niche of people, and then it was like not popular for a very long time. So while new editions were coming out, it wasn't evolving with the new crowd of people because there wasn't a new crowd of people playing it. And in modern times, as stuff like where people got back into it by watching stuff like Critical Role, where they saw that was a way you could play, and the Adventure Zone and Adventure 20 saw that there was a way people got back into it, saying, oh wow, you can play it this way. It's not like the terrible, creepy secrets you hear about it from years ago. So therefore 5e, being the most recent one, is the only one that's evolved with new people coming in. And all the other ones were kind of still being made for this old generation from 20, 30 plus years ago. So
Taz was really such like a groundbreaker into like the start of D&D and Ninja.
Mechanic? No.
No.
Sword? Yes.
Yes. And like,
yes.
Yes. Oh my god, yeah, they were great.
10 out of 10. Now they have books.
Mm-hmm.
And a
We love
TV show coming, just like how Critical Role's got a show coming.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of modernizes it and gets younger people involved.
And it really brings about a new medium of storytelling, which is it's like a roleplay forum, but like you're not typing.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
There's a lot more involved because it is like acting, storytelling, like there's just it's like gameplay, like there's a lot of different things involved that makes it very unique.
I just love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Next question from Chaotic Dembo. Chaotic Dembo. What would your OC Starbucks order be?
As much as my Starbucks order is very complex, Gwen would be the one to go in there and be like, a coffee. And she'd be the really annoying one where they're like, yeah, which kind? And she's like, I don't know.
Just the hot one. The hot
Size.
kind.
Size. I don't know the normal size.
Normal size coffee.
Oh, what?
Oh, what?
Empty? What?
She would
You want almond milk? Huh?
Huh? There's different kinds. How do you get milk from an almond?
Did the cow start almond cow?
I don't understand. I just want the hot drink.
And then they give you like hot water. And you're just like,
Okay, thank you.
and you leave. You just say thank you. You wouldn't even care.
She'd get too stressed out.
Yes, she wouldn't know what was going on. I feel like I would be able to make a more informed answer to this in a couple months when I will have been working at Starbucks for a while. But I feel like Val would be either 0 or 100, like no in between. He'd either go in and just be like, I want like, he'd know exactly what he want. He'd be like, I want like a grande dark roast, like, just black. Like he'd go in, depending on the day, he'd go in and be like, okay, this, maybe an extra shot of espresso. Or he'd come in and have like a 12-step, like specific kind of drink he wants with like specific orders. He'd be that person who'd be like, no, I want this, and this.
You know what he would be? He would be a wet cappuccino guy, which is basically a latte. But they come in and they like, can I have a cappuccino? But I want it wet. And you're like, so you want a latte? Because wet means like no foam, basically.
Oh, okay. I was like, how do you not have wet coffee? Isn't coffee
dry,
liquid?
like a dry coffee is lots of foam. So you can have like a dry cappuccino, and that makes loads of sense. If you want a wet cappuccino, that's a lot. Ask for a latte, bitch. Don't ask for a cappuccino.
For a latte. Yeah, I feel like depending on the day, he would either be super pretentious or like super easy, straightforward. He probably prefers tea over coffee. So he would not order chai from Starbucks because Starbucks chais are awful.
Their teas are bad. Their teas
they're
are
just
awful.
Good. So he like Starbucks specifically, he would order coffee, but generally he prefers tea over coffee.
Okay. The more you know. Question from Seraphine. Yep. I can word. If
Nice.
I'm tired and
You're
there's a
doing
lot
great,
of
sweetie.
Yeah.
letters happening in this name, but I do see Seraphine, so I'm gonna go from there.
There we go. Good
There's
enough.
a safe space in there for me, and it's in the Seraphine. Your character suddenly had a wave of all the confidence in the world wash over them. What would they do in that moment?
Gwen's already quite confident.
Gwen would do another cool flip. Gwen would do like 2 cool flips instead of 1 cool flip.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the only thing, if she had like a wave of confidence, it'd more be a wave of, I don't care what you're feeling. And she would like, with Val, like when he was taking the mick out of her in that morning, she would have just straight up like hit him. Should have been like, shut up. I don't care. With the old lady who's so slow, she'd be shaking that woman like, stop. I just want a cup of
It's
tea.
a good thing she didn't, because we found out who the old lady was, and that would have not been. We would have made enemies.
Oh yeah,
of very powerful people.
She was not like that old lady though.
We would have had a dragon and a notorious drug ring on our heels.
That old lady is on Gwen's arch nemesis list,
Along with the dwarves.
The dwarves and the red-haired lady who stole from them on the merchant boat.
She's just got a list going.
I'll find out who else is on the list. You carry on.
Perfect. If Val had a surge of all the confidence in the world, he would be honest with his party members.
Well, that's not going to happen anytime soon, is it?
Nope. He can fake confidence all day long, but does he have it naturally? In certain circumstances. In certain ways, yes.
And one day in guest place, Steve.
Oh, I can't wait either. Steve.
You might have to change the name to be slightly more fantasy, but it's Steve.
Stefan.
Stephen.
But that's his first and last name. It's Steve Fenn.
Not Stephen. There's like an F there. You think it's a PH? No, it's an F, and it's a V.
It's an F.
They're next to each other,
and people are like, Stefan, and it's like, no, Stephen.
Thank you.
There you go. Also, I realized that is literally Gwen's blacklist, but I realized I hadn't put Agatha on it, so I've put her on it now.
Now she's on it. Okay, good to know.
All right, next question is from Sweet Stories. Hi,
Sweet baby.
Story. Did Gwen like the dress she wore, and what was going through Val's head before he changed to match Cadaver's look? So, question for both of you.
Gwen, you go first, or Rhi.
She did not like her dress. She doesn't feel comfortable in dresses, in any of the clothing that she wore. She felt more comfortable in that than she did in the pink floofy ball gown. Because it was a bit looser and she could walk about a bit more in it. And she had a nice cloak. She thought the cloak was pretty. Like, she can appreciate that things are pretty. She just didn't enjoy wearing it at all. So.
As far as she goes, yeah. So what was going through Val's head right before he changed? So
God.
Hello. To not get like too spoilery or anything. So Val definitely has taken on a human disguise before to perform in certain pubs and stuff just to be more comfortable and blend in a little better. So seeing Cadaver, like, Hulda and I have talked about this afterwards too, because Hulda was like, when that happened, because she knows Val's backstory and everything, she was like, I legitimately was like, oh no. And I was like, yeah, I'm so glad that you were stressed too, because the minute Stevie said that, I was like, oh no. Oh no. I'll say, like, Val was definitely feeling hurt and a little bit betrayed and very confused. When he asked Cadaver why, and Cadaver gave him an explanation, he felt weirdly, like, validated, but not in a good way. He felt validated in very, like, negative emotions that he has. It was a really I was not expecting that to happen at all, and it took me completely by surprise and was very, like, I felt very much like Val in that moment where I was just like completely blindsided, deer in headlights, like, okay. So yeah, it was definitely Val changing to match Cadaver in human form was very much kind of a rising to the challenge kind of thing, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is where we're at, this is where we're going kind of situation. So it was very, Val's definitely gonna be dealing with that as well, because again, like, he almost lost Cadaver after that and is like wanting to connect with him more and stuff, but now there's like another layer of like complication on top of them, their interactions and stuff. So
it made it funny though whenever everyone collided though. That was, I really appreciated how funny it was.
So funny.
Gwen coming out like, wait, what? And like State coming up to like a knife on Cadaver's throat, and then Val being like, Gwen, who are you with? And she's like, yeah, State, who are you with?
Who are you?
Who are you?
What's going on? It was that Spider-Man meme where they all ran out and they're like,
Lydia, Gothic Fairy, who DMs our Frankenpunk, has sent in so many memes for that bit.
So many memes. I thought it was really funny too, because like Saint was in a completely different body, as far as like Val and Cadaver went, they were just human versions of themselves. So I feel like it would be very uncanny valley for the rest of the party, because they'd show up and they'd be like, wait a minute, like, you look really familiar. But like with Cadaver, it's like all the tattoos are gone and like his horns are gone. And then with Val, it's like, you know, flesh tone. He doesn't have red skin anymore. His horns are gone, his fangs are gone, his eyes are normal. Like, he doesn't have just pupils. He has like brown eyes now. So it would be like, and of course, like Gwen being like, he looks like Victor. That's a little weird. But But yeah, I wanna like I've drawn Val what he looks like human, which was very, very weird for me. Extremely weird. But I wanna see Cadaver in human form. Because I feel like it would just be just as weird.
Yes. And like I understand why Sadie didn't recognize him, because like he slicked back his hair and she was like, handsome man.
Hello?
Like,
Yeah.
No, that's still the homeless boy.
It's still him. Yeah. So just him, sans the tattoos and the horns, it'd be very interesting to see.
Yeah. It's fun times.
Fun times.
Next question from Chelsea93. Chelsea Hay 93. What is Bonnie's favorite flower? Frankenpoint question.
Oh!
That's so cute. That's such a cute question.
It really is. Her favorite flower are the crocus, because it symbolizes hope and the fact that spring will always come after winter.
That is beautiful.
That's so soft.
I love everything about that. All right, wholesome. We leave it there.
That was pretty cute.
That was very cute.
From Mr. Helix King. What are Gwen and Val's retirement plans if they retire from adventuring? So if you don't think they'll be retiring or ever will, your answer is not announced. I don't know.
Gwen's a family person, so at some point she does want to have a family. She doesn't know if if it's about having kids or being married. She just knows that she wants a house that's filled with love and joy.
All right.
What's Val's?
I would say, so as far as like Val's dream, it's the same, but that is very much a dream for him. He doesn't think he can ever have that. So I'd say, like, as far as like actual plans go, he has none. He's basically just existing from day to day until he dies. He doesn't know. He doesn't really have a direction. He doesn't have any kind of... He has some things he wants to accomplish. Like, he has some goals. Not necessarily good ones. But there are definitely some things he's like, I need this to happen before I die. But, like, if I die in the process of this happening, hey-ho.
At least I tried.
At least, I went out with a bang. But yeah, like, there is, like, definitely a specific scenario that he would like to happen and be like, this is my end game, this is how my story ends. But it's something he knows deep down that is, like, impossible. So it's very much something that is just, like, it kind of haunts him in a way. It's, like, something that he can never have, but he desperately wants. So...
I'm trying to piece stuff together now.
I'm trying to figure stuff out.
Me and chat both, yeah.
All right, another question. This one just came in the chat. I'm going to ask that before I ask the other ones because it's pretty quick. Another Frankenpunk question from Chelsea again. Is not Gwen, Bonnie. A cat person, dog person, both, neither, or other?
She doesn't get along with animals. God, I've heard a voice in my ear, a Phelan person. She is a Phelan. She appreciates animals. She'd never be cruel to them. She doesn't want them in her space because they're annoying and they get in the way of her work. So that's so I would love her to be a cat. I'd love her to be a cat person, but she's
cat person. But it's the kind of cat that like wants nothing to do with you and would just like occasionally be fed.
She would straight up feed like a stray outside her window. Like she'd be fed up.
It would go on with its life, and you'd both part ways, but you'd have a moment of like respect and like an eye share, and you'd look away. You like make eye contact, and you walk away.
I feel like as far as pets go, Bonnie would be like a lizard person. Like something that's super low. A rat.
God is saying a rat? How dare you?
But rats are like...
cat.
Rats are kind of high maintenance, aren't they?
Yeah. Like, right, look, here's the
high maintenance.
She wouldn't have any animal because in her mind's eye, she can barely take care of herself, let alone another animal. She doesn't want anything relying on her. She doesn't want it.
So yeah, make friends with the neighborhood cat, but like not actually having the responsibility of
chicken out the window and it fed a stray, and that's about your connections with animals.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, next question. Question from Griffin.d. Without spoilers, what are some emotions Val would feel, I'm assuming, if he were reunited with his mentor? Also, how would Gwen feel reunited with her brother?
Griffin.
Oh, Griffin asking the real questions. Reed, you want to go first?
Mine will be shorter than yours, yeah.
Yeah.
Gwen will be happy to see her brother again because she loves her family and she does miss them a lot. So she would be happy to see her brother again. It depends on what he's doing, whether she's happy with him or not.
But the seeing part, that sounds great.
She does miss her brothers. She misses her brothers. So yeah, she will. She misses her brother Eric, who's back home. She does, and she'd be happy to see him again.
Okay.
Now, onto this one.
As far as Val goes, so we don't actually know if Zalif is still alive or not. There's been no confirmation. Pretty sure he's still alive. Pretty sure. But as far as Val knows, he thought that he was dead. And recently, because of things that have come up in session, he's been like, is he? So if he ever got the opportunity to see him again, it would be very much kind of like his dream sequence, where he would just be confused and hurt and broken, but like just really, really happy. I feel like at this point in the session, if he did, or the campaign, not the session, at this point in the campaign, if he did run into him again, he would have a lot of questions and he would be much more closed off than he would initially have been reuniting with him.
I think as well it'll be interesting because Val let slip Zalif his name to a devil right in front of Gwen and Cadaver. I have notes, right, which say Val mentioned his tutor's name and I had a bunch of Z names because I was like, it's Zalene. So and I was like, I don't know his name, but Gwen does.
Back.
Gwen knows. It's actually spelled with an X too. It's Xallaf, I think. Zalif. I think that's how it's spelled. But
okay.
Yeah.
I know what I mean with them.
There would definitely be a lot of emotions. Val probably wouldn't know 100% what he was feeling. But there would be a lot that he would have to work through. And again, it would depend on like the type of reunion it is and like what Zalif says and does and like, hey.
Very, very Goblin King, say your right words. Say your right words.
Listen, words are incredibly important to Val, and he's a bard, so the power of words is a big thing for him. So,
word schmurd.
Word schmurd.
Word schmurd. Okay, and let's go on with the last question of the night.
Ooh!
The best for last, some could say. Some is me. This question is fun. It's cute.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
Scarlet G99. If your character discovered the concept of frogs for the first time, what would they name them?
Oh.
I've been
Hippity
staring at
hops.
this question. Hippity hop?
Hippity hops.
How did I know that was going to be Gwen's answer?
Hippity hop. It's a hippity hop. It's doing the...
It's hippity and it's hoppity, and therefore the best answer is a poppity.
Hippity hop, and if she try and pick it up, she'd be like...
I feel like Val, since he is very, like...
words.
knowledgeable and stuff, he would try and, like, figure out what it was, or, like, try and find some, like, scientific name or something. He'd be one of those people. He wouldn't just, like, call it a thing. He'd probably call it something like Jumpy Lizard as, like, a placeholder until he, like, figured out...
Not Jumpy Lizard.
What it be? Because he's like, well, it's kind of like a salamander, but not really. So he's like, he'd just have something like that to like put a pin in it until he could like find a proper name for it.
Val is a hippity
Frog
hop.
is the proper name.
Val,
Hippity hop.
Hippity hop, and he'd be like, okay, Gwen.
Like frogs have scientific names, but like as a whole, the proper name would be frog. So you went from Jumpy Lizard, and you're like, I need a real good sophisticated name for this thing, frog.
Frog, yeah.
Frog. And then we'll name all the variants different things. We'll call the main one frog.
Frog.
Yes, right next to lizard.
Hippity hop.
Dragons. Just like
And hippity
dragon,
hop.
lizard, frog. Weird
Listen,
leg.
if Gwen tried to pull that with him, it is like, no. Hippity hop. Blah, blah,
Hippity
blah.
hop.
All this.
Well, it's a hopper.
Hopper. He would 100% just like make fun of her for it.
Oh, nothing new there, huh?
He'd start coming up with like scientific names for her. Like, oh, what are you then? Like,
Hippity hoppity, you're now on my party.
yeah.
And with that, with wheezing and laughter, that'll be it of tonight. You can hear it. Can you hear the wheezing? Because I hear it. Giggles in my ears.
In the distance, the wheezing.
Somewhere in a far off land. But that will be the end of tonight's Question Bound. And thank you all for coming. Thank you, Kai and Rhi, for answering
Of
these
course.
questions. Especially the frog.
Anytime.
Thanks for all of the heavy, in-depth questions. Come back next Saturday.
There's no stream
Next.
this Saturday.
Yeah, that's why I said next Saturday.
Let me do
Maybe.
it. Let me do it.
Okay.
I'm
God,
ready.
I'm so confused.
And listen, I've got the science.
Art has the
into it.
knowledge.
As the host, I know all of the knowledge.
Okay.
There will be no Question Bound next week. There will be a break. I'll be taking a nap that day. During that
Nice.
time, I'll specifically be sleeping with the rest of the party. We're all going to take a nap together at that
Communal
time.
nap.
This Saturday, there might be a stream. And if there is, it'll be a one-shot. And if there is not, we will inform you on all of our social medias beforehand so you will know. So be sure to check us out on Instagram and Twitter, because that's typically where we either post that everything's falling apart and that we're going to be like 5 minutes late, or that everything's great and we're going to be we're going to be here to go. So be sure to check those out, and then we'll be back the week after that to like regularly scheduled programs with everyone coming back into play, back to the every other week system you know about. And yeah, I believe that's it. You can also follow me on Twitch now. I'm here, Artful Renegade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Find my nonsense of the corner.
absolutely. Do it.
You have a Minecraft SMP.
Yeah, I just play games like a dweeb. But but I think that's it. Thank you all for joining. Thank you both for answering all the questions. I hope wherever you are and wherever you may be, you have a good night, day, or anything in between. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.